Shall we all rise? Shall we rise? Join us. Moment of silent prayer or meditation, and then we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We welcome Melvin Black. We welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry, in a minute you'll remember we stopped meeting. Now we're returning to life. Okay.
Thank you. Are you Sparty?
Yes.
You sound like Sparty. Sorry about the interruption.
Casey Newton. Steve Yoder.
Here.
Melvin Black.
Yes, here.
Gail Carlson. Dan Halbo. Linda Lautner.
Present.
Thank you. David McCullough.
Here.
Thank you. Robert Miller.
Here.
Thank you. Tom Nixon.
Here.
Eric Lincoln.
Present.
Eric Lincoln.
Present.
Thank you. For the our members that are in the remote setting, if per chance you don't see me or hear me correctly, just wave your hand because maybe we lost connections. So I want to be sure that we don't leave you behind. I could not get my agenda onto the screen. Well, I'm going to follow the agenda that's here now. The agenda is before us. Any additions to the agenda? Any changes?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, I had a little discussion with Trudy about the fact that we're doing some of this remotely, and she said there's no problem with having a quorum remotely because of the governor's order. Let's say there isn't a governor's order. What do we do then?
I don't think it's an agenda item unless you want to bring it up as a discussion before that date.
I'm just suggesting that maybe we want to make a slight altercation in the bylaws that attendance also means remote attendance, so we meet the quorum requirements if there is no governor order to cover us.
At the time of new business, if you want to make a motion to amend the bylaws.
Okay, all right.
We'll be in order then.
All right.
Okay.
Was that a motion?
Sorry?
Was that a motion?
No, there was not a motion. We decided that can come with a new business item.
Okay.
It can come at the time, and I didn't accept the motion.
It would be under C. Under C.
It'll be under C. Thank you. Any other comments on the agenda? The agenda is being amended by adding an item C. Do I hear a motion to accept the agenda?
So moved. Second.
Second, any more discussion, or those in favor, indicate by saying aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any conflicts of interest as we saw the agenda? I didn't
No.
perceive any likely one, so let's move on ahead. Dan will emerge.
Yes, Dan was in the waiting area and I had to get out of our live feed to get him in. So welcome, Dan. Sorry you had to wait a little bit.
Not a problem.
He displaced Melinda.
No, Commissioner Lautner is on the line. You will be able to hear her. She told me
Okay.
that earlier. You just won't
Okay.
be able to see her now.
Good.
We're all on board with that. Okay, very good.
Mr. Chairman,
No public comments?
Mr. Chairman, for public comment, we need to announce that if there is public listening who want to make a comment, they are to call 256-8109. And it will ring in on that phone right by you, which if we get
Yes.
public comment either now or at the end of the meeting, you can put it on speaker so everyone can hear it.
256-98.
8109.
On the top of your
It's at the top of the agenda also.
Okay. We pause for a minute. Is any public who wants to come and make a comment at this time? This is one opening in the agenda. We'll also have at the end of the agenda another time for public comments. I'll pause for about 45 seconds.
Want to sit here? I'm down. Gail, you can come right around. There's a spot there next to Eric. There's dividers in between. Gail, girls.
Okay, there not being no comments from the public at large, let's move on again to staff comments.
Yes, first, this is the first meeting that Gail and I are doing by Zoom. So if you're on Zoom, if you have any difficulties, if you get knocked off or anything, just please try to get back in. I'm watching the screen, I'll readmit you in, and hopefully we have no problems at all. Just a quick update for you, the ZBA training that was going to be held earlier this year has been moved to September 23rd from 6 to 8 p.m. still here at the Government Center. So we've locked in that date. I'm not going to advertise it yet until we get closer to that date, just given the circumstances we are all dealing with and not knowing what it might look like in September. So that is the date, we've locked it in, we've got Mary Riley coming. And as we get into, say, August, I'll let the townships and villages know, or, early August, so they can plan for that. And hopefully we can hold it here and everything will be fine. A backup plan might be that we try to do something by Zoom, if we can actually have it here at the Government Center. But we'll look at that a little closer as we get closer to August. The Housing Action Committee meeting met, the Housing Action Committee met last week. And they are planning on doing a presentation to the county board at their August executive committee meeting. So that's when they'll go before the board and kind of give them an update of what they've been working on, talk to them about the checklist that they've developed and they've taken to other townships as well as shared it with other counties. And then they'll also talk about the role of government and housing. There's a document they've worked on with that as well. And then they also prepared a forum piece that was submitted to the Leelanau Enterprise, so we'll see if that gets printed here in the near future.
Any questions for staff? Any questions for staff? Thank you, staff, for your update. Minutes of February 25th are before us. Any amendment, meantime, at this time, we're going to move to approve them.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the minutes as written.
Is there a second?
I support that.
Any discussion? Okay, thank you. Those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those say nay. Minutes accepted and approved. We move now to capital improvement program. And at this time, staff is going to give us an update. We also had a table within the document. You may want to turn to this table 8, page 8 of 52. Because this is the one we're probably going to be looking at more in detail. So have that on hand, so when staff completes the report, she probably will refer us to this table, and this is the crystallization of the whole effort that was done so far.
Okay, so let me just start by saying that this is the first draft of this document. We've been doing this for quite a few years now and taking it to the county board, getting it before before they finalize their budget process, so they can see what projects have been submitted by department heads, what the cost is, and what impact that might have on their budget planning as they move forward. The CIP is done for a 6-year time period, and if you were able to go through part 1 overview, it spells out why we do the CIP. It's in the Planning Enabling Act for Michigan, and it talks about putting together a capital improvements program, and it is the Planning Commission that does that. They carry the weight and do the work, and then submit that to the county board. In a local community, it would be the Planning Commission submitting it to a township board or a village council. And what is a CIP? It's a short-range plan. Like I said, it's generally for 6 years. It identifies the projects and the equipment purchases, and it provides a schedule, and then it identifies the options for financing if that has been determined. And then it also spells out like what year it's projected to start and finish. So it's usually a link between the government, in this case the county, any plans that they have in place, and then their annual budget. There's quite a few benefits to it. What I'd like to focus on is just a couple of them. They're listed on pages 12 and 13 in your packet. But it's important because it focuses the attention of the community on the goals and needs of the county. You know, the questions of why are you doing this? Why are you spending this money? So if you have it in a CIP and you've had it in there for a couple of years and you're getting closer to the time that you might actually initiate that CIP project, the community can understand that. It allows for an informed public, allows the public to ask questions and you know, even question, you know, should you be doing this? Should you be spending this money? It also helps plan for future debt. So as we saw in the past, the county had some pretty big projects they had to spend money on. And, you know, it's nice for them to see that in the CIP and know going forward that, you know, maybe we have to put off a couple other projects because we have this big project that needs to be done, you know, this year or next year. Going on a little farther, we cover in here on page 14 of the packet, is every project a CIP? No, not every project is. We have a definition that it's a project or an improvement or piece of equipment that's more than $5,000, but in some cases it could be an item that may not necessarily fit the description of what comes into a CIP, but either the planning commission or the county board says, we want that in there. We want to see it, we want to see the money that's listed in there.
If I can make just a comment.
Sure.
As you follow our staff action reporting, you will notice that some of the words are in red. These are the words that changed and improved, but we already had approved. Everything that was black was approved already by this commission.
Right, correct. Thank you, Victor. So then when you get onto page 18 of your packet, these are the priorities, and this is part of the work that you did with the documents that were sent to you and then you sent back your ranking, is once you go through the criteria of, you know, is this a project that is going to, you know, protect the health and safety of citizens? Is it something that's going to solve an emergency problem? Is it something that we would like, but it's not necessary? You go through all of those criteria and you rank them, and then you end up with a priority of whether it's urgent or whether it's important or it's desirable. And priority 3s, those ones that are desirable, those are things that benefit the community. They're things that we'd like to do, but hey, if we have to put it off, you know, it's not going to hurt if we delay that because something else comes along. So the priority ones are those urgent ones. They correct an emergency situation or they comply with the federal or state requirement that you have to get this done. And then the important ones are, you know, they're preventing emergencies. They're planning ahead to make sure that you don't end up with a priority 1. So those priority 2s are also very important. Then we have some definitions. I'm not going to go through all those. I'll just let you know that these are definitions that are very similar to definitions used in other CIP documents. And these are the ones that this county has adopted, and they have stayed the same for quite a few years. Then we get into the part 2, which is all the existing capital facility, the inventory, on pages 22 and 23 of your agenda packet. That actually comes from our insurance carrier, and we won't make any changes to those until September because that's when the new documents will come through. So this will stay like it is. Following that, there's information on the tower sites, and you can see where some things have been crossed out, and as Victor mentioned, some things are listed in red, those are deletions and then additions. And then we have the park area. I'm waiting to see if there's any new information coming out of Parks and Rec Commission for any changes in there. And then we get to the last part, which is the proposed projects. That's where you get into your charts of what is still on the what is still listed in the CIP from prior years, and then what are the new projects that we will add. And we list them in here under item number. They start by the year. So if it's a 2016-02, it's that project came into the CIP in 2016. 02 means it's the second project of that year. Some of these will fall off as they get completed and they end up going into inventory, and some of them as they carry along, the board then needs to decide, are we going to fund these, or are these items that we want taken out of the CIP because we're not going to do them. So we have several of them that you reviewed, and actually I'll go through those briefly, and then there's two additional ones that I've received. So the charts kind of spell out what the projects are, when they will start, how the funding might occur, and then there's a chart on page 37 of your packet, kind of breaks down a little bit more of what year it will start and how long it will carry out through the CIP. And then the very last part is recommendations. We have not made any changes to those for quite a few years. And then the submittal form. This is the form that all the departments have to submit their proposed projects to us on. If there's no questions on that, I'd like to go back to page 8 and tell you how everything ended up when you did the review.
Everybody at peace until now? Okay, you're doing great.
Okay.
You four peanut gallery people, are you also at peace so far with what is being presented? Okay.
I'm just checking the Zoom here for a moment. Make sure we're all set. Okay, so back on page 8, what this is a chart of the summary of all of the work that you did. I do have more to add to it. I got one completed set of forms that I need to add in here, which might alter this a little bit. And then you'll see project 2020-06 is a virtual server upgrade. All I got was the information that you see right here on this chart. I do not have any other information yet. And then another one that I've been asked to add is a Polycom for this commissioner meeting room. So the system that we're using right now, this is the court system. And anytime the court needs to use it, anybody else that had it reserved gets bumped because it is their system. They need to handle it for court or whatever they need to do, it's theirs. So the county board is considering purchasing one that they will have here themselves. And I just got the form here this afternoon, and so that will be another one that you will review after I send it to you. So I thought this chart was kind of interesting. What I did is I went through and entered all of your totals. Then I entered all of the weighted scores, and then I averaged those out. So there are 4 categories down the left. When you look at a project, you looked at public health and safety, the consistency and coordination, the efficiency and level of service, and then of course the funding. And they all have a weighted score to them as to something that was figured out years ago by this planning commission is what has a higher value than something else. So public health and safety and funding, for instance, has a pretty high level of points. So if you look at A, public health and safety, you'll see that the 2 that rose to the top is the Leland Dam lockout assembly, and then the patrol vehicles, which that was actually a little surprising to me because it is an annual thing that occurs. And of course, the vehicles are important to the sheriff's department, but it ranked higher than some of the, like the towers and so forth. So that one was a little surprising to me. But the total points there for the Leland Dam lockout assembly was 40, with the average that a person gave them was 4.44. And then the total over on the patrol vehicles was 34, and then the average was 3.78. Going down to the weighted score, you'll see again, these two items list the highest in weighted score, and you can see what the average weighted score was. The next item is the consistency and coordination, and on those two, in that category, the two that ranked the highest again was the patrol vehicles and then the aerials, updating of the aerials. Under efficiency and level of service, it was the Leland Dam lockout assembly again and the patrol vehicles. And then under funding, it was the communication tower at the government center and the patrol vehicles. So you can see that the patrol vehicles ranked high in every single one of these categories. The Leland Dam lockout ranked high in 2. And then we had the communication tower at the government center and the aerials each ranking high in 1 category. So at the very bottom, then when we look at priority of ranking, we did not have anyone that came up with a straight 1 as a high priority. All of these were, close to 2 or higher for the ranking. So down below there, what I did was I put a row that says the greatest number of responses. So I went through every single one of your responses and, how many of these received 1s, how many received 2. So the first item, the Leland Dam Control, it received more 2s as a ranking than anything else. The Leland Dam Lockout received more 1s as a high priority than anything else. The 2 communication towers both ranked 2. The patrol vehicles ranked as a 1, and then the aerials ranked as a 3. So we'll still need to have you do the virtual server upgrade and then the Polycom system so we can add those into this document and figure out, how that plays out and how these will get ranked and added into the CIP. So I'll stop and see what questions you have or if you want to discuss this.
Any questions on the text part of the document?
Nixon's got a question.
Any questions? Yes.
A question here.
Nixon.
Okay.
Who did
Yes,
you rec-
Nixon.
Yeah, I'm just noticing on the Leland Dam lockout assembly, the maintenance figure is different than what we originally saw, even though I don't think that would have any impact on the ranking system. But I wondered, Trudy, if you could just comment on what the change in their estimated cost was based on.
Yes, thanks for bringing that up. I meant to mention that the head of the buildings and grounds came to me and said that he had that wrong, that he missed a pretty important figure in there, and so he gave me the new value. He actually revised his form. I have the revised form in my office.
Thank you. Miller?
Yeah, when I look at the dam control roof, the reason, I'm assuming the reason that they brought up a roof was because the roof is leaking. And if there's electrical gear in there and the roof is leaking, I don't care what we do to fix the panels and the lockout mechanism, we got a problem. So I'm a little surprised that its ranking is low. I mean, water inside that building is not a good thing.
And
We appreciate your comment.
And I should just remind everyone, this summary that's on page 8, that whole chart does not go into the CIP. That's our working document. What goes in is that priority ranking at the bottom. So this is a time where, as you go through these, if you say, it got ranked as a 2, but it's really a 1, that's where this gets changed so that it goes in the CIP as a 1 if the commissioners feel it should.
Miller, are you happy with that response?
I suppose.
The answer was that you're correct in what you said, but the bottom line, it came up on top of this document as far as priority.
Okay. I'm fine with it.
Any other questions on any comments or concerns with the text in the document? assuming that there are no comments, and that gives us great pleasure, now we can focus on just the numbers in the document. Any comments on the key table? The key table giving the final line at the bottom that the highest priority apparently are the lockout assembly and the patrol vehicles. And competing for really a tie, if you're gonna be nitpicky, the communication tower for the current center comes up a little bit higher than the dam control and the tower in Glen Arbor.
Can I comment on those two towers, and if Melinda wants to chime in here and add anything, that'd be great. I know this board had a meeting on Monday regarding the towers. They were submitted, for consideration of the CIP. I don't know yet if the county board is actually committed to going forward with either or both of these towers, and maybe Commissioner Lautner could add to that or correct me on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
We took no action. Sorry?
You took no action
Monday
yet?
was a work session. Correct. Monday was a work session, so it was information gathering. So I believe Matt said that we did not receive any RFPs for the tower build the first time around. So, but there is interest. So he's already received a couple of letters of intent to bid, and they're due back for our July meeting, I believe. So it's going to extend out another month anyway. That's a big part of it. We have to get a bid on building it, but we also need to know if we're going to have any vendors. So Matt is working with both the big, if they want to commit being on those towers first, because that's going to be a very important factor for us whether we do go forward with those towers. So the answer is we've not decided yet.
Thank you. To put us all at ease, we are not dictating anything to the Board of Commissioners.
Understood.
Perception as a planning commission, as a majority, is proposing these criteria and these rankings. But that is just, by law, we have to do that. And they don't have, do they take it as part of the analysis? Yes.
Yes, I had a question. I see the disparity. The tower at Glen Lake at $750,000 and the tower here at the center out back at $200,000. Maybe Melinda, you could tell us why the vast difference between the two towers, the cost.
I cannot for sure. They might just be also a grant involved. So I think if we're successful getting a grant, that will pretty much pay for the one tower. And then we would have the cost of the tower on the government center campus. I think that's how it would go. But we have to now that.
I did ask that question of Matt and Sorgi. I thought I had my printout here, but I don't. But he did explain it. It goes along with what Melinda said. And I think the one in Glen Arbor is also supposed to be taller. And of course, we own this site here. But I could forward all that information on to everyone so they can get that information.
Any further comments on the table?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I was just going to say, in the past, when we give the commissioners our capital improvement material, seldom do they ever do what we recommend. So that's an interesting thing to note. We never know what they're going to do, but seldom do they do what we recommend and say is the most important. Something always comes up.
Yeah. Thank you. Any further comments?
I have a question about the Glen Arbor Tower. Did you receive any input from the National Park Service with respect to the requirements of that tower?
I have not. I'm not working on that. That's through 911 for mandatory.
All right, well, that might have something to do with the expense. All right, thank you.
But my impression,
I believe they're
Yes,
looking
so-
at a spot, sorry.
yes, Lautner?
I believe we're looking at a spot owned by the township. So it's not national park property, it's township owned.
Look, I was thinking they may have had inputs with respect to the requirements, how tall the tower is, because there's a number of dead spots within the, at least in the Leelanau County portion of Sleeping Bear Dunes.
There
And
are.
maybe they would want to enhance the height of the tower so that we eliminate some of those dead spots. It might be something they're concerned about. I know sometimes emergency communications don't always work because of distances or land obstacles and so on.
At this time, we are just reviewing this, and if you see anything that's glaringly uncomfortable to you in the rankings that came up as the collective responses were tabulated, this is the time to bring up that concern. And a question to staff, are we then to wait until those other two proposals are emerging to finalize our reporting?
Oh, yes, this is not ready. We need to send those out to you and then get a new document, cleaner document ready for you for July.
So this time, we pretty much recognize that we are very much at peace with the text, so we don't have to worry about the red letters, we can make it back. And at the same time, we don't have to worry about the details, because we all seem to be relating well with the priorities that came out of the so that gives us a head start. So when we meet next time, and we have two more proposals before us, let's be sure we focus on that and not go back to the text and try to bring some changes to that. Okay, are you all at peace with that? Are you also all at peace with that? Yes? Okay.
I just want to remind everyone that the summary charts that are pages 35 through 37 of your agenda packet, you'll see the items that have been crossed out because they've been completed. And one of those is a priority 1, which was emergency repairs of the Leelanau Dam. And then you had a priority 2, which was OSHA work required at the Leelanau Dam, the HVAC system at the government center, and roof repairs. So these were some of these were some pretty pricey projects that the county got completed. And of course, other items which are priorities 2 and 3 are either dependent on maybe some funding or approval by the county board to move forward. And then we still had on here priority 1 of the tower top amplifiers and tower generators. So when you look at this again, you may want to look at the priorities of all these projects once again. Just because they're listed in there that way right now doesn't mean that that's where they'll be listed as a priority moving forward. You may want to readjust those based on the new projects you have and if anything else has changed. So some projects have been done, have been taken off the list. Other projects, I think it's working just like you would see in a CIP, as other projects got kind of pushed to the back because funding's not there and they can wait. And that's what happens.
Thank you. I must admit, I was influenced by one of the proposals, which simply is maintenance. It's not a capital improvement. That's something that we want to reward. We're not approving money to maintain, we're approving money to improve the capital investment. And the other thing, there was a proposal, they said, well, we normally are on a 5-year cycle, but a lot is happening, so we're coming earlier. So that's another comment. So when you read over these proposals, you get some insight. Okay. And also, I believe when somebody says that there's an account with a number, I imagine that means that the money is there in that account for that money. Okay.
there, or that's the account they wanna take it out of, you
Okay,
know, when the money is there.
yeah, okay. Any other comments? Staff, anything you want us to do at this time?
Nope, I'll send you out the last two and any other instructions and give you a deadline to get your responses back to us again so we can get ready for July.
Excellent. Thank you for your collating all our little funny numbers into a one visible chart. That's simply impressive. Okay. Any comments from everybody at peace over there, the rest of our commissioners? Okay. Next item on the agenda is work session. For a few minutes, I want you to think in a different way than you normally think. I will have two questions for you to answer. What are we doing that we could do better? I'll formulate, please, I don't have the screen. My day today has been met with a lot of challenges. What should we be doing is the first question, and what could we be doing? And then what should we be doing as we think about it, we can turn to our bylaws. So I'll turn to your bylaws, which are not on the screen on the Zoom thing, but I just want to go about it. The bylaws say, what should we be doing clearly? Participate in drafting plans for the county, using them to encourage coordinated and harmonious development of the county. The commission shall take overall responsibility for advising the county board of commissioners in all zoning matters. Okay, fine, let's move on. When we go further to our duties in the bylaws, we read from the following. And I'll go slow. As you hear the duties in the bylaws that we should be responsive to, make a little note. Ooh, whatever, to see your reaction. Preparing and maintaining a plan for the development and/or protection of the peninsula. That's number A. B, preparing and updating a capital improvements plan. C, preparing special studies and plans as deemed necessary by the County Board of Commissioners. D, annual report. E, review and commenting on proposed new public facilities or improvements. F, making recommendations on proposed township plans and or rezoning or text amendments. G, assisting in the development of model regulations.
Read that one again.
Yeah.
Read that one again.
I'll be glad to. G, assisting in the development of model regulations. H, educating the general public about the values and benefits of planning. I, welcoming citizen comments. J, learning about and staying up to date on their responsibilities. I don't understand J, what it means, but that's what it reads. Learning about and staying up to date on their responsibilities. K, coordinating planning and associated development regulations with other governmental units. And finally, I, L, attempting to prevent incompatible planning and zoning. My hope was to have those for you on the screen. But as you heard, there may be something just stirred in your heart. Yeah. We should go further on that. Oh, come on, why are we supposed to doing that? Oh, yeah, we're just doing everything on just fine. I want us during this next period of months, that remain until the January next, to really have done things as a board that are stellar. One or two big hits. What could those be? You know, something we can start pondering about right now. And the way that we're seated and the way that we have my inability to have this this in a screen, what I've showed you at this time is a picture. Improving our county, what could we be doing? And there's a picture with a little girl with two brains. They screwed up in the artist. He put the features of the left brain on the right brain, so the artist did not know the difference in right and left brain. But it suggested that we may be doing some of the right brain thinking that we need to do. No? Which one is it? Right brain thinking? Yes, it is. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Does everybody know who said that? Creativity is intelligence having fun. Albert Einstein. You were going to say that. You knew it already, okay. So that's all I'm going to share with you right now, and I want your reactions, because I was hoping we could have a little session, just blasting creativity's ideas and trying to design things. I've led a lot of sessions in new product development, so I have experience with that. Trying to just bring the ideas from nothing. But if we don't have the physical setting, no arrangement, nor the time to do that. But I'm just challenging you to think what can we do to say, oh, wow. Now, we got a lot of wows from the education committee with some of the things the staff organized in the formal training sessions. We got people coming from other counties, from other places. This was excellent. So we should keep that going on. But just something to stimulate our minds that we can have more fun. If you want to say anything, I'm not going to stop you, but I'll start with the order. Anything you want to say?
No, I guess I guess going through that list, I felt like most things that we are, going through that list, I felt like most things this body is already doing. So I think the only thing we can improve on is trainings or whatnot, and obviously that kind of came to a halt with everything that happened, so.
We can always do it better.
What's that?
While we're doing it, we can always do it better.
Well, and that's the thing, so, and I know MTA has done, some online trainings and stuff, so, maybe that's an avenue where we have to look into if this keeps going like this, so. But beyond that, going through the list, I felt like we were implementing a lot of that, what was in the bylaws here, so. But if there's anything we could do, I think that'd be an avenue where we could, have, maybe do something online, pending the interest or whatever. Obviously a lot of the townships aren't even doing anything right now either, so. But I think a lot of that's just gonna wait and see what the next couple months bring in, so.
Thank you. Winterman, anything popping in your mind? I know it is. Look at the faces.
You mentioned Einstein, and what was the saying that you had there? Something.
You said creativity and intelligence is fun.
Having fun. I was wondering, when he developed that very famous equation, did he do that before or after he came up with that statement? Because that E equals MC squared really puts limits in an extraordinary way, but also open up a lot of things for us. I know this is way off what we're supposed to be doing, but it just stuck in my mind, and
Okay.
I'll pass for the moment.
Carlson?
do not have anything to add at this time.
Mueller? Mueller? No, I'm sorry.
Mel,
Black.
Yeah.
Melvin Black. Oh, I'm sorry. I
Well-
remember. Black.
I'm new on the board, so
Oh, excuse me.
I'm gonna do more listening than speaking, because I don't know exactly a lot about what this committee does. I guess the question I would have, do they have a 5-year plan for the county?
We do, one of the tasks that we are responsible for is maintaining a general plan for the county at large. And
Yes.
it is done in every 5-year cycle, correct?
Every 5 years?
The last hiccup was last year.
Okay.
Good question.
Don't hesitate asking
Would
questions.
I be able to get a copy of that?
Okay.
Of course.
It's online.
It's on the
It's
web.
online, I can print it out?
Sure.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to print it, it's pretty,
It's pretty long, pretty long. I don't know if you want to do that.
It's on the web page too.
On the web page, I can read it.
No, there's no secret about it. Anybody can have a copy of it.
McCullough?
I find it interesting on your, the duties of the planning commission. Attempting to prevent incompatible planning and zoning. It's very difficult to do that because all we can do is recommend and approve. The townships really do the planning and zoning. But we have to look at it so that they don't, improve it, so they don't get sued, right? And that's our function. But really, they don't have to do what we ask them to do. They can say, well, we read it and we want to do this, and that's what they do. So that's the thing that, in my judgment, impacts things like affordable housing and all those different issues that we have. It's up to the townships to amend the zoning so that we can get that stuff done. And we can't do anything about it if they don't do it. All we can do is recommend.
Thank you. Lautner?
There, am I unmuted? I guess we should stay positive that everything that we do present to the Board of Commissioners is taken very seriously and all taken as a recommendation. So stay positive about that. The only thing I didn't see, and I'm gonna have to go back over the duties because I didn't think about it when I read them, but one of the things we've been doing is model ordinances to help the townships. And I think that that's been a very important piece played. Just the other day, a model ordinance came up. I'm trying to think of the issue, and it might have been over internet in the townships. And, it was recommended that, well, maybe the planning commission could write a model ordinance to help the townships with that. So if that isn't it, whatever it was, we'll get back to you, Trudy, on what was suggested. But I'm pretty sure it was internet or towers. So it's all good. That's all I would have to add.
Thank you. Hubble?
Sorry, I don't have anything to add.
Okay. Miller?
Nothing at this time, other than, I think when we're talking about an advisory role, when we're recommending, that is speaking our mind, that is suggesting, it's the same as any government agency, any government form recommends something to be done. The final word is the executive or in this case, the township board that decides whether they want to move forward with it. We can make change by recommending proper things.
Thank you. Nixon?
A couple times being the last, I allowed you to say I got a whole list of things, but I don't. I kind of agree with Steve in that most of what we have on here, we're doing, and can we do them better? And it seems to me you can break this list down pretty quickly between reactionary responsibilities and proactive responsibilities. And I look at the H, educating the general public about the values and benefits of planning, and J, kind of being tied together. That one of the things we can do outside of procedural and ordinary responsibilities, those are the two categories where I think we address matters that the public have some interest in through our education committee. But the rest of them, I think the top four, A through D, Trudy and her staff work so well to help us with that. In C, I don't recall being on this commission for a couple of years that we've ever had a special study or a plan recommended by the Board of Commissioners that we consider doing other than our housing subcommittee. So when you go through the rest of those, I think certainly the challenge is always to do them better. But I think our real focus has to be on being sensitive to issues that are in our county that pertain to planners and zoning administrators and how we can help them do their job better.
Thank you to all of you. Alvin Gilman?
Yeah, I want to connect with what Melinda said about model ordinances. In recent years, I think we've had two opportunities to deal with maybe this commission developing model ordinance that the townships could at least look at, not necessarily adopt. And one was regarding the use of marijuana in this county, and the other had to do with short-term rentals. I think these were issues that every township faced, and we could have had some model ordinances to help them at least begin their own process of how they want to deal with it. So I think Melinda's point about doing more in terms of model ordinances, I think is a valid point.
Thank you. Any further comments? I welcome all your comments, and I challenge myself. I'd like you to challenge yourself. If we really want to have a notable impact, a really big hit, what would it be? Rather than just the same old, same old, same old. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I might say that in regard to model ordinances, we had that meeting on short-term rentals, and it must have been 100 people in the room when it was
Yes.
packed. And they had a lot of model ordinances for people. Not only were they on the board, but they were in the handout material. So I think we've done a reasonable job on that, and we've held the meetings, and they've been well attended. You know, it's a difficult subject, the ordinances that they need for that. And with the coronavirus thing, it's a whole different ballgame now. So if we did propose a model regulation for our current situation, a year from now, it would probably would be moot unless we had another pandemic. You understand what I'm saying? We don't want to kill the horse in advance.
Thank you. Any further comments? All right, so I leave us all with a challenge. To excel what the people expected from us.
I think we have another participant in the meeting here.
Now we are to the Winkleman. You are on the table now. You wanted to propose something, and it's in kind of on the agenda.
Okay, well, maybe I'm over masterminding for Mr. Huff's for College's recent statement. We are here today to have this meeting because of the governor saying it was okay to do it remotely. And we have a quorum, so what we do counts. I don't know if we should consider making a change to the bylaw that if there's some instance where we need to have a quorum where some people have to social distance or come via internet or some other way to the meeting, that they count as being in attendance at the meeting. I don't know if we want to think about amending the bylaws with respect to attendance and quorums or not. Right now, we're operating under the benefit of a order from the governor, but there might be another instance where that order may not be available, and then what do we do? That's my question.
It's your inquiry whether you want to have any action now, or is your inquiry for somebody that's interested, maybe to work with you to come up with an amendment?
Well,
Or would you like to come?
I would like to hear if others feel that there's a need for this, and if there's not a need for it, then we don't do anything. If there is a need for it, I think it's just a minor change in the language of the bylaw to accomplish it.
So you want to get a reaction whether we will be supporting a change in the bylaws and amendments to the.
Yeah, amendments so that if Melinda and Tom and others want to attend, or they have to attend in order for us, via a media method, if they have to attend in order for us to have a quorum, then indeed we could establish a quorum. Because without doing business under a quorum situation, I don't think it counts.
I don't think the body would object if you want to draft an amendment and come with it at the next meeting and then we can
Chairman?
discuss it.
Mr. Chairman, the last information I got from the county administrator is that the governor has extended that for the Open Meetings Act through July. So that opportunity to participate via Zoom is extended through the end of July, and I don't know if it will go further or not. But I would suggest that this commission wants to consider some language for the bylaws is that I check with the administrator on what that might be. Because if this body's interested in it, perhaps there are other committees that might also be interested in that. And we might as well get the same type of language, perhaps even from corporate counsel, to say, put this in your bylaws and you'll be covered. So we would have time to bring it back to you in July if there's interest to do that.
Well, can I do something that's not a good thing to do? But if I can see that somebody else is resonating to want to consider this, then let's have a group of people follow this in which way they see appropriate. Just because it's not in the bylaws does not mean the bylaws can be changed. And adding more flexibility to the Open Meetings Act, well, I don't know. Who else is, should we follow up on trying to change the amended bylaws? Say yes, no, or maybe.
I guess I trust legal counsel in what their recommendation would be. I think the best move to go forward would be to check with them to see what the protocol is on that. That way we don't step ahead of the game and do something that's illegal on that side either. So I side with Trudy and say, hey, let's check with legal counsel. Obviously, if this keeps going, I'm positive the government can extend and, our right to meet virtually and stuff, so.
Yours is a guarded maybe.
A guard, I guess that
You
would
are
be
a
it.
yes.
I already made a comment.
I agree with Steve and.
Well, I totally am opposed to what the governor is proposing. I don't subscribe to any of it. We've got 0 cases up in this area. I think it's ridiculous. I'm opposed to it, period.
Okay, McCullough?
Well, the question is, what are we opposed to? I'm opposed to meeting with Zoom as a regular way of conducting meetings. I much prefer to see people see their reaction, be able to see how they react to things, and see their faces. I don't like Zoom particularly. It doesn't, the sound doesn't work very well. You probably noticed that. It comes in broken. And the best thing I heard on Zoom was the baby cry. So I'm happy with the way things are.
Hubble, yes, no, or maybe?
Keep us tied up forever.
Who did you call on?
Just for the whole
What did he say?
Democrat.
You call on Joe Hubble.
Oh,
Hubble, yes, no, or
Sure,
maybe?
drink, I agree with you.
Fed up with masks.
Excuse me, you guys, this is on video. We're trying to get the minutes taken, so, okay, thank you.
You want to pass?
Victor, did you call on me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't have a problem if we allow Zoom participation. I think that the world is changing and it's another option for people to participate.
Okay, thank you. And he is a representative of the legal counsel family.
Well, yeah, and in that vein, I think we definitely have to pass it on to council because look, I'm no expert by any means in the Open Meetings Act, but right now we got a pass from the governor to participate by Zoom. When that ends, I'm not sure anything we do to allow or disallow Zoom will pass muster with the Open Meetings Act, and therefore I think it's incumbent that whatever we do, we run past council and see what the answer is.
Thank you. Lautner?
Okay. Am I on? Thank you. I
Yes.
kind of laughed because you called on Dan just after David McCullough said it's hard to hear, and I thought Dan couldn't hear you, Victor. So I kind of had to laugh because that was a case in point. But yes, there is digital breakup. There is electronic interference. So I would suggest that perhaps what we could do, if we look into a policy, it would be based on the fact for the quorum, and forget the pandemic thing because it's complicated. But if you look at just the quorum, County Board of Commissioners has a policy been to corporate counsel, which makes it easy for us to follow. But it says that you can miss 2 meetings, and I take that back. You can Zoom in 2 meetings a year, but that's it. So that encourages the face-to-face participation that David McCullough was talking about, and I agree with. So whenever possible, we should. But for the purpose of a quorum, allow a couple meetings a year. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you. Nixon?
I kind of agree. We should be certainly exploring this with the with legal counsel, but I kind of believe this. A lot of this stuff's going to get resolved in itself as we go through this pandemic. Technology has proven to me that it continually improves almost moment by moment, and so some of the problems that some may have with Zoom may become non-issues in very short order. Secondly, I think probably with the governor's sensitivity to public meetings, when she does, or if she does, conclude that open meetings are possible, I think following quickly behind that will be some kind of language that will talk about what public bodies and entities can do other than hold face-to-face meetings. Because I think there's been many organizations that have, in difference to David's feelings, have felt the Zoom meeting has been very good to handle matters on. So short course, I would say, yeah, legal counsel. Second, I would say probably a lot of the direction is going to be pointed toward us once we get through more of this pandemic.
Thank you. Heather?
I pretty much agree with what I've heard from Dan and Tom, that what we've got is unique, that the legal requirements are going to be changing. Right now, we're able to do this because the governor says we can by executive order. When that expires, I'm not sure the Enabling Act is going to allow us to do it. But if it does, that's the subject for some legal investigation that's beyond us changing our rules.
Right.
We don't even know whether we legally can.
Thank you. I don't sense a strong desire to try to amend our bylaws. But we are now in a state of awareness. Things are changing. And I understand that our bosses, the Board of Commissioners, are allowed to have a remote setting for at least one. What is it? A lot more left. The Board of Commissioners is having people that are not on site as a practice. My personal feeling should not affect anything. because I hate webcasts. And I'm right now starting to do 15 lectures that I'm committed to do to be delivered through the wire. The world is changing rapidly. In fact, instead of having formal training sessions, we're going to have a series of little webcams stuff for self-tutorials, tutorials. So I don't want to change, but it's going to come. So let's be prepared. This is the first time I'll let you know how I would have voted had there been a motion. Okay, thank you very much. Now we have reports from the Education Committee. Da-da-da-da-da.
Nothing to report. I think Trudy kind of gave us an update where the training session is. So other than that, that's it.
And we haven't had words from the Housing Action Committee, but is anything else that will come from that committee?
I have nothing else to add. Trudy gave the update on.
Okay. Parks and Rec.
There we go.
That was nice. The word Parks and Rec really sets the button down. That it would have been, sorry, Casey. No report then. Report on attendance at township, village meetings, training sessions, etc. Yoder?
No, nothing to report. We've had ever since the pandemic, we've had canceled all our township planning commission meetings. Looks like we'll have the first one here in July. All our township board meetings have been via Zoom, except for the month of June, we did meet in person, so. Other than that, nothing large going on, other than looks like we're gonna be looking into, putting a tower in behind in Cedar there to get some internet in the town of Cedar there for the hall there. Since we're gonna need internet there for voting and stuff, we've got the township hall there with the new order, so. So we're looking into some different possibilities of that, but other than that, nothing big happened.
Thank you. Winkleman?
Oakland Harbor Township a few days ago finally opened up to the public. Mr. Van Noort will not be seeking re-election. The first time, I believe, in township's history, if two candidates for township supervisor and clerk win, it'll be a husband and wife team. With respect to the Leelanau County, with respect to the bridge that connects both sides of Leelanau County to Lake Leelanau, COVID-19, of course, created delays, and it's probably going to be going for a good part of the summer until they complete it. It's needed. And as everybody knows, we have to find a new head administrator for the County Road Commission. The other fellow left. I do not know who the next one will be.
Thank you. Black, as you know, properly recognizing every meeting we report what we have learned from the townships. So this is the report that the meetings we participated in, and we can feedback, and also trainings that we might have had that we can feedback. Carlson?
The beach at, I can't think of the name of it, is closed too, because they're gonna be doing road work,
669?
Bohemian Road.
Yeah.
Beach, yeah,
North end of Union Road, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Black?
Well, as far as the road commission, how they're seeking a person to replace Justin, they should be advertising with the Michigan Road Commission out of Lansing so that it gets sent to all the road commissions throughout the entire 83 counties. Because there are some qualified men in some of these other counties that might have interest in the job, and I hope they're advertising there. I don't know if they are. I haven't got on the site to see, but it's a site they can put the ad on. It's free. It makes it open to all 83 counties, and there are a lot of qualified people out there. I know I came from Muskegon County, and one of our men from our county garage took the director's job in Oceana County, and doing a great job. our director, Muskegon, has been with the program there 18 years. And the guy before him was 34 years, so there doesn't have to be the turnover that they're experiencing here. It's unfortunate, it should not be the case. I wish they were running a little tighter program, but that could be it.
Thank you. McCullough? Back to Hubble.
The Centerville Township Planning Commission's met twice in the last couple months. A month ago, we approved a special use permit for Belago. Yesterday, or last night, we met and we're wrestling with our own version of the septic inspection ordinance.
Thank you. Lochner?
I have nothing further to add. Thank you.
Okay. Nixon?
Suttons Bay Boards met a couple expedited sessions using Zoom, and our planning commission, one meeting also using Zoom.
Thank you. Miller?
Nothing on my side, no. Thank you.
I don't understand what's going on in Northport. They're going crazy. The village council planning commission scheduled a meeting, an executive session, to hear from a budget proposal from a person that wants to have a marijuana center. And I tried to speak with they don't have an administrator anymore, they have a community chair or something like that. Very pleasant person, but I don't think she understands much about Open Meetings Act. But some of the things they're trying to do, which is completely out of order. So I'm trying to influence things without annoying them. But there's so much division right now in that village, which fortunately with the tourists coming in, I think the two camps are now ganging up together against the tourists. So maybe they bring some unity there. Because you do realize that you live in Northport for more than 20 years, or 10 years even. Those tourists are invaders. Okay, any other comments? I want to say a couple of things about the training issue. I did go to a training session. This is so much fun. So many, see, with the wireless era, we get all these webinars that you can sign on to and we sit at your home. I was part of the Master Citizen Planner Academy, Plan for the Unexpected. And I went to it. They were talking about hazard mitigation, high water, COVID-19 response, and climate and health. But I cannot tell you what the final outcome of the meeting was. There were wonderful pictures showing the high water mark and homes being wiped out. There were all sorts of data, but nothing to say now, what now? How do we really implement things? Probably there was another session that was on the dams that burst. That was an excellent session because they were approaching how we're going to solve this problem. Now there is another session coming in that, these cost $5 per session or $20 for the floor. And I'm not going to ask you truly for money going through the system because it's too much work. So I'll probably sign up on my own unless somebody else wants to be involved with this. This is very, very, I'm looking forward to this one. How do you get people involved? How do you get them to participate? How do you get them to be involved with what you're doing? And I think there can be quite much enjoyment to that. The importance of actively engaging the public, identifying stakeholders and understanding bias. The bias changes about every week. part one of a two-part following the Open Meetings Act. Part two, being strategic and creative. So I'm planning to attend that. If anybody else would like to attend, it means you have to sit at your home with your little internet and your little computer and log in and just listen. You can talk, you can ask questions, so that they're very participatory. And the cost is less than what it will cost you to drive to here, because it's only $5 per session. So I think it's a great opportunity to learn a bit more. If you want more information on that, you can probably get it from the office, because this is organized by the Michigan State University Extension. And anything you want to add to that, Caroline?
No, just contact us if you want to sign up, we'll get you signed up for it.
Okay. Anything else that we might have to share? There being now none. Communications,
No.
public comments.
The phone number for public comments again is 256-8109.
We will pause, slowly talk slowly and giving a chance to dial. If anybody out there wants to say something, something like, I love the way you guys work, you're tremendous, we'll be glad to hear from you. But if you want to improve something, this is the time to share with us. 256-8109. Staff comments?
Okay, a couple things for you. First, is we've heard here tonight, townships and villages or planning commissions have not been meeting or have been meeting less frequently. So when things start rolling again and they hold their regular monthly meetings, I'm not sure how that, if they're gonna have a backlog of things and you're gonna have a full agenda of amendments and so forth coming to you, but we'll see how that plays out as we go forward. We have not received items from them for review, obviously, as we don't have them on your agenda for you. The poster plan is a document that we said we would work on with regard to the general plan, and Gail has been working on that. We actually found one that was on the back of one of our older transportation maps, where we outlined the different policies. So I shared that with Gail to use as kind of a template, and then put the maps in there and so forth. So that will be coming along, hopefully in the next couple months, for you to take a look at. And I also wanted to let you know that, and I forwarded it to everyone, Michigan Association of Planning is opposed to the changes that have been put forward in Lansing to remove a municipality's right to regulate any type of sand or gravel issues. And as you know, this really hits Casson Township pretty hard, and also some areas in Benzie. I've been getting calls from residents in Benzie wanting to know what did Casson do, and it's impacting them now as well. So the Michigan Association of Planning is very opposed to it, so is the Michigan Township Association, and there are others. So I forwarded that on to you to let you know there is a committee hearing tomorrow in Lansing. There's limited availability to go, to be present at that meeting or to speak, but there's ability to send in letters or comments, so forth, to those committee members. So Casson Township has been following this very closely for the last year and a half, and it would kind of undo everything that they've been fighting for more than 10 years. And my concern as a planner is not just sand and gravel, but what other uses could this now start, could we now start seeing laws where communities are not allowed to regulate certain types of uses. So that's why it's so important to planners, is that, this is the start of other things that we might see in the future. So anyway, if you're interested in that one way or the other, I sent you on the information so you can send correspondence if you want to, or just follow the issue. And then we had our first hazardous waste electronics collection last Saturday at Glen Lake School. It was very successful. Gail and Molly from my office did a great job organizing it and keeping everything running smoothly. it was totally full, and now we have the entire collection this Saturday at Bull Lake School, and that's nearly full as well. So those are some pretty successful events that are going on in Leelanau County.
Any questions for staff? Commissioner comments? Miller, I'll start with you, Commissioner comments.
No comments this time, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Nixon,
Nothing to add, no.
Longman,
No, thank you, Trudy, for those collections. I hope I'm on the list for the tire collection. I think I have to get my check in though. But I'm excited about it.
Okay, yeah, you better because we're almost full.
okay, thank you. Hubble, comments?
Nothing from me.
Okay. McCullough, comments? McCullough, comments?
Yeah, I hope a year from now, we're not masked in plastic tin, and this thing's over with, and we can get back to having full face-to-face meetings, and my over-anticipation of wanting to change the bylaws to account for future situations will no longer be a necessity.
Yoder?
No comment.
And I thank you all. Again, our freshmen members, don't be afraid to ask questions. I tried to watch your eyes. You were enjoying it. And I think Mel was trying to protect his hand here. I hope you get better at that hand.
Well, I see a surgeon tomorrow about my wrist, so hopefully it'll be good.
Well, that can have an influence, yes.
Yeah.
Well, with that being, the meeting is adjourned. Okay.